The next thing I want to walk you guys through is the assignment. And on this week's assignment, remember I said in the last class that understanding the process to install any application on AWS or your EC2 instance. This is something I want you guys to understand, because when we start doing the Docker projects, everything ties up to each other. So as you pick up the knowledge here, you will see it in the Docker project. It is very apparent, which is why I've also taken the time to outline it for you, what you need to do. So for this project, we've said that the application we are working on is a LAMP stack, which LAMP means Linux. We will be using a Linux server. Some of the software we would have installed on the Linux server is Apache, which is the engine that we will use to serve our HTML site. We will have MySQL, which is the engine we will use for our database. And we will have PHP, which is the dynamic portion of our application. So for the requirements, we will launch an EC2 instance using Amazon Linux 2023 AMI. And once you launch your EC2 instance, you have to install the softwares that are required for your application to run on that EC2 instance. The software for this particular application that we are working on, the software that is required for that application to run is you must install Apache on your EC2 instance. You must install PHP version 8. Then you must also install all these PHP extensions. You must install MySQL version 8 and enable PHP core module. And also you need to open the php.ini file and make sure that the memory limit and max execution time are set to these numbers. Then finally, we need to enable mode rewrite on our EC2 instance. So I'll walk you through the process of how I will start to work on the commands that I'm going to run on my EC2 instance to install these softwares on my EC2 instance to meet the requirement. So once you've created your VPC and you've set up your security groups and everything, for this project, I said use the EC2 instance connect endpoint. Once you've set up everything, this is how I would go about getting my commands that makes up my script. I would launch an EC2 instance in the public subnet. So under instances, I'm going to launch an EC2 instance. I'll just call it test EC2. And under application and OS images, it is going to be Amazon Linux. And we will use Amazon Linux 2023 AMI. We'll leave the description as the same. The instance type is going to be T2 micro. Under key pair, we are going to select this drop down. Remember, all you are doing at this stage is this is not the server that we use to install your application. You're just testing your commands to make sure your command works. So here I can use a key pair. So since I have a key pair in my account, I'm just going to use a key pair. So this is the key pair. I'm going to use that one. And since I'm launching it in the public subnet, I'm going to create a new security group. And on this security group, all I'm just going to do is open port 22 from my IP. So you can see here, I'm opening SSH on port 22 from my IP address. And that is all I need. Remember, for this instance, I'm using Amazon Linux 2023. Instance type is T2 micro. I'm using a key pair to SSH into it because I don't have an endpoint that is connected to the public subnet. And I've selected my VPC, public subnet, and I created a new security group. And I opened the SSH port from my IP address. Then I'm going to launch the instance. Once I launch the instance, I'm going to click the instance ID to go into it. And this is the instance. I'll wait for the instance to be running, then I will SSH into it. Then I'll show you the process that I used to get the command. And remember, I said here, you just want to test your command that they work. Once your command works, you add it to your notes and you move on to the next software you need to install. Do a research for the command, run it on this EC2 instance. If it works, move on to the next one. This is how you will test all the commands that they are working properly before you create your script. So these are the commands that make up your script. My EC2 instance is now running. I'm going to select it and I'll copy the public IPv4 address. I'm going to open PowerShell and find my command. This is the command that I used to SSH into an EC2 instance using my key pair. Remember, it is SSH-I, the path to your key pair, then the username of your EC2 instance which is EC2-user at the public IPv4 address of the EC2 instance. Once you paste the IP address, I'm going to press enter, and here it always asks you this question. I'm going to type yes and press enter. So now I have SSH into that EC2 instance. And to be frank with you guys, the first software option we need to install is Apache. So this is what I always do. I would open a new note here, something like this. And I know the first time we SSH into our EC2 instance, we need to update it. So that is sudo yum update -y. So that is the first command we always run. So to test it, you can copy it and paste it here, run it. And if the command is successful, you know that command is successful. Right now, there is nothing to update, so that is fine. Then the next thing we need to do is, according to our software requirements, we need to install Apache. So I'm going to either use Google, but since ChatGPT exists now, I like using it for things like this because it takes you straight to the answer instead of having to search through different Google results. So I'm just going to open it and I'll just type, I want to install Apache on Amazon Linux 2023 AMI. So I'll press enter. You can see here, we add the sudo yum update to update our EC2 instance. Then here, it says use yum to install Apache on your Amazon Linux instance. So it is saying use this command. And once we have installed Apache, we will use systemctl to start the service. We will also enable the Apache service to be in the start mode anytime we reboot our system. So you guys have seen this command before, especially when you worked on the previous project. So what I would do is I'll copy this command for now, and I'm just going to paste it in my notes. And what you guys can do is when you guys see the commands that I give you guys, I always add my comments here. For your comments, you can just add install Apache. So that way you understand what each command is doing. Then right under it, you can add another, start the Apache service, then right under it, you can copy it. And here you can also copy whatever ChatGPT is saying. So I'm going to copy these two commands and add it to my notes. And the next command here is just checking the status of the service. So once you have your command, this is the first one, we can copy it. And in our terminal, we're going to paste it there, press enter. It is asking you for your input, you type Y and press enter. It is now installing it. So if you run the command there and it is asking you for an input, that means that when you run it as your script, it would also need an input. So here in the command, you can just add -y. So any command you run that is asking you to enter Y for yes, then you can just include this option -y in the command you are going to run as your shell script. So that way you account for that option to enter yes. So we've run that command, is successful. That is how I get that command in my script. Then the next one I'm going to move to is the second command to start the Apache service and enable the service. So once I copy it, I'm going to copy it here and paste it here, press enter. You can see those commands ran successfully. That is how I get that command. And the next thing we can do is check the status of Apache. You don't need to include this in your script because this is just checking the status of the service. You can copy that command, paste it here. You can see that the service is enabled and the service is running. Now you can be sure that the command you have added to your script to install Apache is working correctly. Then that means that you have satisfied this requirement. The next thing you are going to do is move on to the next requirement. Just like you did the Apache, you are going to do the same thing here. And you will say, I want to install PHP 8. So you can just type the same thing. I want to install PHP, I can say version 8 on Amazon Linux 2023. Press enter. Once you press enter, it will give you the results, right? Here, we've already had sudo yum update, so we don't need that. The next thing is, it is saying to use yum, but watch what will happen if I run this command. I'm not saying ChatGPT works 100% of the time. Sometimes you may have to ask it a question in a certain way. So it is saying to install the latest version of PHP, I should run this, and watch what will happen when you run this. This is the reason why I say testing your command is very important. So once I copy that command from here, to install PHP. I'm going to paste it here, and it is asking me to enter the Y option for yes, and that works. So when you run the command and it works, now you know you can use that option to install PHP. I mean, if you run the command, it works, you know this command works, then you add this command to your node. Also here, once you install it, it is telling you these are some PHP extensions you can install. But that will be the next thing we will do. But it's telling you to install Apache. So you don't necessarily need all this. For the requirement we want, we just want to install PHP in that second one. And to verify that PHP is installed on your Linux machine, I believe it's PHP -v. So here you type PHP -v. When you type PHP -v, if you get an output here, that means PHP is installed. So now you have satisfied the second requirement that your server must meet PHP version 8. Then you'll do the same thing for this. So I said you must install all these extensions on your server. So copy all these extensions, and in ChatGPT, you can say, I want to install these PHP extensions on Amazon Linux 2023 AMI. Then I'm going to paste the extensions down here and run it. First, it is saying you need to update your EC2 instance. We already did that. It is telling you this is the command to install all the extensions that I've mentioned that your server must meet on the EC2 instance. So copy this and run it on your EC2 instance you are using to test the command. So here, I'm just going to press enter and paste it there. It is asking you for the option to enter Y for yes. So remember, anytime you add Y for yes there, that means that in your command, you have to enter it, because when we run it as a shell script, you want to account for that Y for yes. So it ran it successfully. And to check the different PHP extensions that is installed on your EC2 instance, you can ask ChatGPT, but the command is PHP-M. If you type this and press enter, you will see it will show you all the PHP extensions that are installed. You can see they're also called PHP modules, and under it, you can see all the PHP modules that are installed. So you just want to review all these modules to make sure that each one of those names is in the requirement. But since we copy pasted in there, all of the required PHP extensions would be installed, because that is what we asked ChatGPT. So now that you've tested the command, all you have to do is copy this, and in your notes, you come down here and you can type your notes, so that way you remember what the command does. So here I'll say install PHP extensions and paste that command there. So that is how we satisfy this command. So we've done 1, 2, 3. The next one is we need to install MySQL version 8. So here we are going to
put the -y, sir.
Excuse me.
-y on the two last comment.
Yeah, you can also put it here. You don't have to always put it at the end. So you can either put it after the install, or you can put it at the end. Either one of this will work. The next requirement is we need to install MySQL version 8. So this same process. ChatGPT is much faster to give you the answer, but you can always use Google too. You guys don't think of it as you need to know these things off it. Nobody knows all these things off it, unless if you're a Linux guy that you've installed different applications and you just know it. Using ChatGPT is no different from using Google, except for it is much, much powerful in terms of it gives you the answer you are looking for, as opposed to if I type the same question in Google, I'll get all these results and I'll have to go through each one. So it is just an efficient way to be more productive. That's how you should look at it. It doesn't make you dumb to use ChatGPT. Bello asks, how do we know we need to install the extension? The developer will tell you. So for whatever application you are installing, there will be a documentation that comes with that application. And in that documentation, they will say, to run this application on your EC2 instance, you need to make sure that your EC2 instance meets working through now. And the developer that built that application will tell you that you need to install all these extensions. So we need to install MySQL version 8. I'm going to type, I want to install MySQL version 8 on an Amazon Linux 2023 AMI, press enter. So here it is giving me the results, and you just have to go through it. With this is going to update the EC2 instance. We've done that. Then here it is saying use yum to install MySQL 8 on your Linux instance. It is saying to run this command to install MySQL 8, which is why I always say test your command, because I'm pretty sure when I asked it the first time, this command doesn't work. But let's test it now. I'm going to copy it and paste it here, press enter. So you can see that command doesn't work. So that's why I say ChatGPT is not always right. Sometimes the command may be wrong, which is why it is important to test it. So for this one, if ChatGPT doesn't work, I'm just going to copy my question here and I'm going to try Google. When you type it in Google, you can see someone has a video here on how to install MySQL on Amazon Linux 2023. I'll just watch that person's video. You have to use as many resources as you can to get to the answer of what you want to get to. So I'm going to just pause that sound because it is distracting me. So here, watch the video to see how he installed it. And I believe when I was installing MySQL, I actually got the answer from this guy's video. So you guys feel free to check him out. And I think here he has like a website where he has the documentation on how he installed it. So all I did is I came to the documentation. You can see here how to install MySQL on Amazon Linux 2023. Yeah. So all I'm just going to do is scroll down here and installing my community repository. It is saying run this command. So I'm going to copy these commands. And this is the first command he said to run. I'm going to copy this command, paste it here. Yeah. And I think I pasted it twice. So I pasted it twice. I didn't mean to do that. So I pasted it and it did, that command worked successfully. You can see that it installed the MySQL community here, which it ran successfully. It was just when I was pasting it, I pasted it twice. I didn't mean to do that. So I know that first command works. I'm just going to add it to my note. So here, I'm going to paste it here. And whatever he said there, install MySQL community repository. So you can copy this and add it to your note. Then the next thing he said to do is once you install the MySQL community repository, you need to install the MySQL server. And he's saying this is the command to install it. So copy this command, then test it on your server. So I'm going to also paste it here. Paste it here. And it has successfully installed those. So I think for that one, it is asking you to enter the option Y for yes here. So anytime a command has installed in it, as I believe that is the time it will be asking you for that Y for yes option. So it is asking you for the Y option here, and it is asking you for the Y option here. You can see I ran those commands that he provided, and those commands are successful. So that is how I come up with how to install MySQL. Then the next thing he said to do is start the MySQL server. This is the command to start it. And the next command is checking whether MySQL is installed. So I'm going to copy it. For our application, we just need to install it up to 4. This secure the MySQL installation and test it. Because we are using RDS instance, we don't need to use this ones. We just need to install MySQL and check that MySQL is installed. So that is why I only used this instruction up to this part. Then here, I'm going to test it by pasting it here. I believe I may have run into that issue when I ran my command twice. So what I'm going to do is, so sometimes when you are testing these commands, it is try and error. Because I pasted that command twice, I believe that's why I ran into this issue, because I've tested this command before and it does work. So if you make a mistake on your EC2 instance, you can just launch another EC2 instance. So I'm just going to launch another one real quick. It will be the same AMI Amazon Linux 2023. I'm going to use my key pair. And this is exactly what I did when I was testing all the commands too. I had to launch several EC2 instances just to make sure that the command is working. So here, I'm going to select my public subnet, and I'm going to already create a group, which is this one, I believe. And that is all I need. I'm going to launch the EC2 instance. Then I'm going to go to that EC2 instance, select it, copy the public IPv4, going to open PowerShell. I'll wait for this to be running. Okay, select it, copy the public IPv4, then open PowerShell, going to SSH into it, type Y for yes. Okay, I'm in it. All I need to do is test the MySQL command. So this is the command to install MySQL. First, I need to copy this to install the MySQL community repository. I'm going to copy it and going to copy it and paste it there, press enter. So this is what I missed the first time when I paste the command there twice. Once I did that, then I'm going to copy this one to install MySQL, and I'm going to paste it there. Yeah, so now it's working properly. Here, it wants me to press enter. I'm going to press enter, and now it is installing MySQL. So the issue I had on the first EC2 instance is because I pasted my command there twice, and that gave me the error. So when you are running the commands, I would recommend pasting it one at a time, making sure those commands work. When they work, add it to your notes. The only time you would have to put an extensive amount of work in finding the commands and running it is now, when we are doing it this way. But once you have all your commands done, the next time you need to install MySQL version 8, you already know you have the command from when you completed this project. You just go and get it from your note and you use it. So when in the project I'm providing all the commands to you guys, this is exactly how I'm getting it. I've run the second command, which according to his documentation, that is to install the MySQL server. So here, no, that is to install the MySQL server, this command. So here you can copy. I always recommend copy the instructions on what that command is doing and add it to your notes, so that way you understand. Then once we install the MySQL server, the next thing we need to do is start the MySQL server. So here, I'm going to first copy this, come down here, paste it here. Don't forget to put the hashtag symbol there. And then I'm going to copy his command from here. And I'm going to run it here first. You can see now that command works. When I press enter, it is starting the MySQL service. And also the next command is just to check whether MySQL is installed. You can see that is this command. And here it is telling you MySQL version 8 is installed. So with that, we have our requirement. So I'm going to paste it here. And that is how you would complete this part. The next part is you need to enable PHP core module on your Amazon Linux 2023 AMI. This took a couple of tries to get it right. I had to ask ChatGPT in several ways, and finally I got to the command that I need to do that. So let's try it now and see if that will work. But if this don't work, if you've tried to get it, it doesn't work, I'll give you the command. So on ChatGPT, I'm just going to paste that there because the developer told me that I need to do this, but I'm not 100% even sure what that does. So I'm going to paste that there. So this is what it gave me. It says I need to first update my EC2 instance. Then I need to install. I've already installed PHP, so we don't need to do that. Then we need to install this PHP core. Then we need to install this PHP core. Right. Yes, we need to install this. Sorry, I was reading the comment. So we need to install this. So let's just test it. I'm going to copy this and test it on my, well, I need to probably install PHP because remember, this is the new EC2 instance I launched and I didn't install PHP on it. So first I'm going to run this. When you are in PowerShell, one thing I don't like is if you click before you, if you try to paste your command before you click on it, it would not work. So first you have to copy the command. Then in PowerShell, first you have to click on it. Then once you click on it, see, it's not working. So I'm going to copy it, then come to PowerShell. Once you see that thing blinking, then you paste it. Then that will work. Then I need to run this to install PHP. Then this is the command to install the PHP core. I'm going to paste it. It's asking me why for yes. And that is all you need to do to satisfy that one. But I'll tell you guys now, let me just paste it in the Slack channel. When I try that command and see if that works, I mean, that command works, but it is different from what I got when and I can't remember what questions I asked it. I asked it like different questions because the first command it gave me didn't work. So for this one, it is saying that this is how to enable it. The command we need is this. So you can press enter on your node and paste it there. Then you can add the notes. So for that requirement, I believe we just need to install PHP core. And this is the command we need to do that. So yes, it is right because it is similar to my command. So this is the command. Then the next requirement is we need to change the memory limit and the max execution time in our php.ini file. So I'm just going to do this, copy this, and I'm going to. So before we even ask ChatGPT, what this means is I'm trying to figure out where this is. Maybe that's what I should have put in your. So on our server, there should be a php.ini file, right? So what we are trying to do is we are trying to change some settings on that file. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to update that requirement to tell you where that file is located. And I think that file is located in so here the file is located in your etc. So here, if you type cd etc, I need to cd like this. Let's try that. Yeah. Okay. So make sure you have the / in the front and press ls, right? In that etc directory, you'll see all these files here, and you'll see all these files and directories. So the file we are trying to update is php.ini. You can see it here. So if you cut this file, right, there's a bunch of information in it. So what the developer is telling you is that there's a bunch of PHP settings in this file, right? You just need to find where they have listed memory limit and max execution time in this file. So if we keep scrolling in this file, we will find where they have the memory limit and max execution time, and you will see that it is equal to something, and they are telling you to update, to edit this file and update that value. You can see there are some stuff here that is equal to something. You can see this is catch session. We just need to keep scrolling. I believe the first time I was looking at it, it took me forever to find it. And I can't remember what section of this file it is located in, which is why I use ChatGPT to cheat. So basically what I'm trying to say is in this file, there's the option for the max limit and max execution time or whatever that requirement is. You just need to find it and update it. So like it said, you can use grep to find it. So I'm not a Linux guru, so I'm going to, I believe how you run the grep command is, let me cut.
We can get pipe and grep.
Then pipe it, then you do this.
The grep of the word.
Yeah, thank you. So don't forget to remove this. So I'm cutting the file, the same command then in that file, I'm saying I want to look for this word. I'm just going to press enter.
To put grep.
Oh, grep, I didn't put grep, that is true. There you go. So you can see in that file, memory limit is set to this. So we need to update it. On Amazon Linux 2023, it already comes with that value. So you don't even need to change anything on it. So I'm going to run that command again, but with the max execution time. You can see the max execution time that comes with your Amazon Linux is set to 30, and the developer is requesting that you set it to 300. You need to find this max execution time in this PHP .ini file on your EC2 instance and change the value to 30. So this is where I'm not really good at the Linux command and how to manipulate things on it, which is one of the key things I always use ChatGPT for. So here, I'm just going to say, I want to.
Can you use Vim?
Yes, you can use Vim, but our command, we want to make sure that our command also works with a script, bash script, because you are manipulating the file. So Vim is
okay.
if you want to edit it. So the command you will use to do that is sed, to manipulate that file. The sed command will allow you to do that, but I don't know the full command to run to do that. So I'm just going to ask ChatGPT. Do I want to use sed command to change the max execution time in my PHP 3M? So I'm just going to type something as descriptive and run it. So here it's telling me that this is the command to do that. So I'm going to copy the command here, and I'm just going to test it here. So I'll paste it here, press enter. Then now I will run that other command that I grab it just to check it. You can see now that it has changed it to 300. This is the command, the sed command you can use to change the max execution time to 300 on that file. Now that we've run it on the EC2 instance that it works, we are just going to paste it in our notes.
ChatGPT is powerful.
Yes. Yeah. So mainly things that I use ChatGPT for is if I get stuck with my Terraform code and I can't figure out what an error is, or Linux commands that I need to use to create a shell script, and I'm not 100% sure how to be honest, I wouldn't have known how to do this by myself. Prior to ChatGPT, I used to use Stack Overflow and Google, and some people have probably pasted the answer online, but I'm not like a super guru in Linux. So for Linux, I just understand, which is what I'm telling you at this stage. The main thing I want you to understand is what this command is doing. And I showed you prior to asking ChatGPT that what this command is doing is our developer told us that we need to update this value in the php.ini file on our server. So your understanding should be, I know there's a file on my server. I need to update the file. If you use VI, you can go into that file and change this value. But when we start running this command in our shell script and in our CI/CD pipeline, we want to be able to run a command that will do that for us without us having to SSH into it. So that's the main knowledge you need to understand. If you look for how to get the command, that is fine. So this is that command, and I'm just going to copy this and add my notes. And that is it for that one. Then the last one we need to do is enable mode rewrite on our EC2 instance. Again, the mode rewrite on your EC2 instance also is, there is a httpd.conf file on your EC2 instance that you need to change a setting on it. Just like I showed you here in this etc directory, if we ls in there, there is a httpd.conf. So these are in alphabetical order. So if you, in this directory, there is this HTTP directory. So we need to go in that directory. And in that directory, if we ls, there is a conf directory, which is here. We need to cd into that conf directory and ls. And this is the file we are trying to update. So if I cat that file, so in this file, there is a mode rewrite option that we need to change to, let me see if I can find it. Right here, I believe is, I'm going to grab,
go back.
I'm going to grab it.
Grab it too.
These are all the different sections that this word allow override shows up in this file. So the mode rewrite is on this one, I believe, this h.ht access file. This is it. So I can probably grab it by this word and see what I get. Okay. So at this section of this file, I always, basically what I'm saying is if you look in this file, there's a section in this file that has this line, and all you need to do is, you see how all these are set to none? You need to enable it. So instead of none, we want to set it to all. So I can just ask ChatGPT the command to do that. But if you were doing it physically on your server, you will come to this php.ini file, find where it has this comment about allowing mode rewrite on the HT access file, and you need to change this value from allow override none to all. You just need to change this none to all on wherever that setting is on this file. So I'm just going to ask ChatGPT. So I'm just going to give it that word. I want to enable mode rewrite on Amazon Linux 2023 AMI. So you can see the same thing I told you guys. Here it is actually telling you exactly, if you read this, where to find it on that file. And you can see what I said, this allow override. Right now, currently now, it is set to none, and we want to change it to all. So basically what I'm saying is, basically, if you want to change it, you have to come into this directory and edit this file and find where this allow none is and change it to all. And if you want to do it with a command, since I don't think I will even know this command, how to get it done. So it is telling you to run this command. So here we are supposed to check this HTTP this service, which I don't think I installed Apache on this EC2 instance, because this is the second EC2 instance. So we need to check if Apache is already installed. If it is not, we need to install it. So since I haven't installed it on this EC2 instance, I'm going to install Apache. Okay, Apache is installed. Then I need to, it is telling me to run this command. I'm going to try this. So that is not found, right? But I've done this before, which is why I said that you would have to do a couple of research to find it. But in the command you guys ran in your project, I already have the command there, how to run this. I believe when I was working on the command previously, I did a couple of research to find it. And if you ask ChatGPT, so sometimes what I do is how ChatGPT told me to run this command, and I paste it in here, right? And it gave me this error. I'm just going to tell it that this command didn't work. I'm just going to say, and it would most likely give you another one. It is giving me another one here. I'm going to try this one. And this one too also doesn't work. I mean, this is editing the file, but this is not what we need. So I'm just going to do, is using Nano to edit the file. So I'm just going to Control X to exit. But basically for this one, you need to come in this file and update the command. And if you look in your project, the dynamic project, I already gave you guys the command in that project. And I'll also paste it here. I'll paste it in Slack, and I'll also paste it in this note. So based on the research I did, this is the command. This command works. And literally, that is how you get all these commands.